What is going on, guys? Welcome back to another episode of the Mike Bartner Show. And today we have another good one. I'm joined by my good friend Johnny Lazarus to talk about some New York Rangers, Anaheim Ducks, how the Hart race is shaping up thus far, Macklin Celebrini and Connor Bedard, as well as going through college hockey and how Gavin McKenna has looked early on relative to expectations. Then we have a first overall player draft. Me, Babiak, and Ben of Rangers Ringside, who generously enough donated $250 to the NB Cross Long Island Foundation charities that we raise money for. We draft first overall picks, active first overall picks, 4 forwards, 1 defenseman. So yeah, hope you enjoy the episode. Let's get into it. Okay, so now I am joined by my good friend and fellow New Yorker, Johnny Lazarus. He played Division I hockey at UMass in Mercyhurst. He's the co-host of Morning Cup of Hockey on the Daily Faceoff, as well as a recently announced podcast, Tri-State Hockey Pod, discussing the Islanders, Rangers, and Devils. And most importantly, he did not score on me in the floorball tournament for Don Boy. Johnny, how are we doing?
I was actually going to say, are you going to mention that I mopped the floor with the Jolly Olives in the John Boy Media Floorball Tournament or what?
Once we made that switch, it was 1-0, and I won the William Jennings for that floorball tournament. 0 goals.
You were money in net. They
Yeah.
got to put you back in net next year. You were good.
Yeah, we gotta train it up and somehow get on the same team for floorball next year. But yeah, we got a lot to talk about. We're talking about the New York Rangers, the Anaheim Ducks kind of exploding, Celebrini and Bedard, the Hart race. Me and Johnny went back and forth on Twitter regarding that.
Yeah.
And also we're gonna touch on McKenna and just overall college hockey, because Johnny talks a lot about college hockey. It is definitely more knowledgeable in that field than me. So you ready, Johnny?
Yeah, I actually think I don't want to lead you in the way here, but I think we're both wrong about our arguments about the Hart Trophy.
Interesting little teaser. I'm not sure exactly what you mean by that, but we're gonna start with the Rangers. We're gonna start with the Rangers. Unfortunately, I'm having you on like 2 days after they finally break that slump at home. But I think we were both on the same page. Where like it's not like they were getting massively outplayed at home or just like period. They just couldn't finish for shit. Like all of their 5-on-5 metrics and all that stuff were pretty strong, like among some of the strongest in the NHL. So, what do you think finally flipped the switch in that Nashville game? And going forward, do you think that the finishing is going to be a problem? Because at least dominating possession and chances, it seems like they're solid under Sullivan compared to prior coaches.
Yeah, I mean, listen, I think a big thing was, and Mike Sullivan talked about this, was just sticking to the process and continuing to believe that what they were doing was eventually going to work. And, it's funny. I thought they actually had better scoring chances against the Islanders, but Sorokin came up big. And, I think Mika hits a crossbar, then Mika gets a one-timer, misses the net wide. Panarin has a rebound in the first, 10 seconds. And when you get those chances early and they're not going in, you're already struggling the way you are. It's kind of like, oh, fuck, here we go again. I don't know if I can curse. My bad.
Sure, yeah.
But it's kind of like, here we go again. It's like the whole bench, you kind of go from like standing up straight to, So I think Mika scoring on the breakaway, I think that gives everyone a deep breath, right? And the fact that it's Mika also helps, right? Because Mika's been known to be the guy who the team goes as he goes, and when he's struggling, it's bad. So I know he's not necessarily like the number one forward on the team, but to this point in the season, he's been the number one guy.
Yeah,
with
he's
how
probably
he's
the
played.
most criticized at times, especially with that contract.
1,000%. So I think again, like they had 6 high danger chances against Nashville. Like they didn't play that great of a game, but at some point, pucks are going to go in. And I actually had a really nice conversation with Steven Stamkos. I'm not sure if you saw the video, but I had asked him, as someone who's been around the league and like pays close attention, like what his thoughts were on the Rangers. And he said, like, with the amount of talent they have, it's got to be a blip. Like this isn't something that like should be a concern for the entire year. And I don't think he wanted it to change its course against his own team. But he basically said, like, at some point they're going to break through, and they just so happened to do that on Monday night.
Yeah, especially it wasn't even like you thought that the bottom 6 was gonna be the main problem with this team in terms of scoring.
Yeah.
They weren't producing at like an extremely high clip, but it was solely like their most talented guys like Zibanejad, like Panarin, like JT Miller that just couldn't get going in terms of actually finishing those chances. And I think a lot of people just piled on top of them because they're the New York Rangers, because they're a big market team. And we've seen in prior years that they have kind of not like leaned into the media, but they are a group that can get despondent at times, whether that's because of the leadership, whether that's just because of the media. but it's hopefully not hopefully, I mean, I don't want them to turn it around, but I think that they will turn it around
Yeah,
in terms of, like, finally getting that breakthrough win against the Nashville Predators, where they 6-1 before that. Like, I
yeah.
think that they're gonna figure it out, especially when you look at on the road, they have been so good. It's the team that seems like they're a little bit too much in their head.
I mean, I gotta say, Mike, it is a shitty feeling being on the other side, right? Islander fans and the Islanders have been the ones that have been berated by national media for being boring, for being a mess, and all that stuff. And now it
Mhm.
seems like the Islanders, are the team everyone wants to talk about being fun, including me. Like I watch a lot of Islander games now because of 48. I know you went to the Prudential Center because of 48, and it's worth the watch. It's worth the trip. And I got to tell you, 53, not 53. That's Zizekas. I'm thinking about Horton's number. 14. He was 53 in
We'll
Vancouver.
talk about him in the heart. We'll talk about him in the heart.
14 and 13, I'll tell you, they're fun to watch too, man.
Mhm.
Bo Horvat, it seems like every time he shoots the puck, it's going to go in. That goal they scored against the Rangers, that play with Drouin on Gavrikov,
Mhm.
and Horvat buries it again for I
Wide
think his
open in
second of the
front.
game. Oh, that was disgusting. But yeah, like the East is fun. The Islanders are right there. The Rangers are right there. Um, and yeah, I don't even remember what the question was. So keep going here.
Yeah, it's not about being in their head, but the 5-on-5's been good. What the hell has happened with the power play, though? 30th right now in the NHL as an Adam Fox Norris better, even though like Cale Makar's absolutely blowing that up.
Yeah, it's done. It's over.
Yeah, it's over. But like, if it were to potentially happen, like
Yeah.
it just doesn't make sense. Is it a similar thing where they're just not finishing? I mean, it's home and on the road where the power play has not really stood up to what you'd expect. Is it because of Chris Kreider, who we're definitely going to talk about with the Anaheim
Mhm.
Ducks, him leaving the New York Rangers? Like, where have you noticed? And the power play wasn't really that good last year, but in prior years,
Yeah.
it's been consistently like top 10 in the NHL. So what is your read kind of been on the power play struggling a serious amount?
So they had definitely gotten good looks. I think a big thing for me, the three guys up top haven't been moving as much as you've seen in the past, and the setup is different, right? You usually have Panarin on his strong side flank, so he's on his right side, coming, up to the blue line, skating downhill and attacking on his forehand, and you have Mika on the opposite side flank for the one timer, Fox up top, and Panarin and Fox in recent years have always been so interchangeable, where Fox will walk the blue, Panarin will kind of come behind him and
Hmm.
they'll either do the drop pass and exchange it, or Fox will keep going, attack downhill, maybe look for a stick back door, or look across the seam to Mika for a one timer, and vice versa. Like Panarin would either shoot the puck coming down, he'd find Kreider on the goal line, or he'd try to go underneath the stick and get it to Mika on the far side as well. When you have Panarin and Lafreniere, well, now it's Cooley in front. They took Lafreniere off, but when you had Panarin and Lafreniere both on their one-time flanks, and neither guy is really known to shoot one-timers, it makes the power play a little stagnant, right? And you're not really moving around as much. So Adam Fox is almost stuck where Fox wants to walk the blue laterally. And, instead of giving a guy a pass for what could potentially be a one timer, he's now forced to even flutter a puck at the net. Adam Fox does not have the heaviest shot, as most people
Oh
know,
yeah.
but he also knows that, first of all, going to Lafreniere righty to lefty, you got to be like pretty much far away from the lefty to make it a one time pass. If you're too tight, it's easy for the PKers to adjust and get in that lane. So that puts extra work on Fox to like get across to the left side to then move it to the right side. Hopefully I'm making sense here.
I think you're on. This is the best breakdown that we've had on this channel of all time.
so
We appreciate it.
so you know what I mean? So like it's much easier for a right-handed shot to set up a right-handed shot for a one-timer
Mhm.
than it is for a right-handed shot to set up a left-handed shot. Obviously the same works for a lefty. Um and I think when you have two guys in their one-time spots who aren't one-time threats, it's so much easier for the PK because you don't have to worry about getting in the way of those shots. So I think the Rangers need to change their setup a bit. Obviously now they've had Cooley in front. But they've kept Mika in the bumper spot, which I don't love. Like he's gotten good looks, but he's not scoring from there.
Mhm.
And Mike Sullivan has tinkered with it a little bit. They scored a power play goal the other night off the rush. It was a weird unit though. They had like they had Braden Schneider with Gabe Perreault, Lafreniere, Trocheck, and Panarin, I think, was the fifth. But yeah, the power play has been something that's been a big issue, and I think had the Rangers gotten 4 or 5 more goals in the power play, I think that's like at least 3 more wins. So
Mhm.
I think that's what's been holding them back the most to make a long rant complete.
No, I love that breakdown. So you're just saying like just tinker with it. The
Yeah,
talent should still be there, and especially now we're about to talk about Gabe
yeah,
Perreault coming up, who probably can be such a power play threat. It just really shocked me that the last basically 100 games of New York Rangers hockey, a team that from 2022 to 2024 was consistently within like the top five.
Yeah.
It's just struggled so much, but I guess it does make sense considering those changes that they have made. Gabe Perreault, what did you think about him in his first game? What do you think that he can bring to this team? It's interesting because he doesn't really seem like the player that is suited for like a bottom six role. You would maybe
No.
rather have him in Hartford just playing like top line, which he was. I think he had like 5 goals, 5 assists, 10 points in 9 games. So do you think he's going to stick with the team? And if so, will they make the same mistakes that they've done prior with guys like Kako and Lafreniere and stick him in the bottom six? Like, what's your read on how he's going to be utilized?
No, he played with JT Miller and Mika Zibanejad. I
Hmm.
know he played only 14 minutes, but I think that's because Mike Sullivan also wanted to protect him a little bit. Like there was one sequence where Matthew Wood tied the game at 1-1 in the first period, and Mike Sullivan, rather than sending out Gabe with Miller and Zibanejad, actually sent out Panarin with Zibanejad and Miller, just because obviously most people know after you get scored on, that next shift the response has to be there, or else you get caved in, momentum swings, and that's how the game gets taken over. So to put a rookie in that spot is obviously a tough situation. And I like the fact that Sullivan kind of went with Panarin to, help the Rangers kind of, get back in the offensive zone, um, create some momentum back in their own way and all that. And the Rangers ended up scoring, a few minutes later with Gavrikov. So, I like that coaching decision. With Gabe, there were moments in the first period. There was one shift in particular where he turned the puck over twice in his own zone, and that led to like 45 seconds to a minute of Nashville playing offense. I mean, that's going to happen. Like, even the
Yeah.
best players do that. So,
We're seeing that, yeah, Schaefer, Cal
yeah,
Ritchie, it's learning on the fly. It's not just sheltering him where he doesn't have that opportunity or
yeah.
benching him immediately after he does something like that. It's about living and learning, like going from college hockey, going from the AHL to the NHL,
Mhm.
just naturally going to happen.
Exactly. And I think Mike Sullivan has been so clear. Like he flat out said, I might be misquoting directly, but we don't call up a guy like that to play on our third line or in our bottom six.
Mhm.
And no coach has done that previously, or at least come out and said that. And
Yeah.
I think also in recent years, like you had Panarin and Kreider playing top two left wing, and you had Lafreniere, who was a natural left wing, and Kako, who I guess played as off wing. But when Kako was playing with like Panarin and Strome, for example, it clicked a little bit, but it wasn't really consistent. Um, and Kako just, I think, never really found his confidence.
Oh, definitely.
He's a different story. I know you did a great little breakdown on the Rangers
Yeah, I did. I
draft
enjoyed
picks
making that at
and
all.
whatnot. You're a good hater. You are. I'll give you credit because you know what you are a hater, but you also know what you're talking about. So
It's
like
logical, yeah,
it's
and I think
hard
every
to
Ranger fan
like
agrees with me. The fact that like
yeah.
they rushed their rebuild, basically immediately throw Lafreniere and Kako on the third line of an
Mhm.
actual contender where they have these expectations that did ruin their development. But it's awesome that based on what you're saying, based on what Sullivan said, like they're properly utilizing him. They're going to
Yeah.
give him an opportunity, and if he doesn't play up to snuff, he goes back to Hartford. He puts up point 0.8, point 0.9 points per game in the AHL, and then next year when there's just more minutes, he eventually gets called
Mhm.
back up again.
I think he'll stick though. I really do. Like you saw it already. Just the plays he makes off the rush, his poise, his composure. Even 6 games into his NHL career, like Gabe just has a different. There aren't many players who can like slow the game down
Hmm.
when they have it. And I'm not saying like Gabe's not even like a fast skater, but the pace he
Yeah.
plays at, and again, like the speed is going to be an adjustment for him, but he's able to slow it down and think a step ahead. Like I actually, everyone wants to draw comparisons and whatnot, but he kind of does remind me of like Adam Fox, but as a forward,
Yeah.
where he's thinking
Just
the game one step ahead. He sees guys in lanes that no one else really sees, and he has that deception too to throw off the opponent. And the foot speed, obviously, physicality, that stuff he lacks. So I do think he'll end up having a decent year. I don't know if he's the guy to like be the make or break on if they like get into the playoffs or win a round or whatnot. But I'm excited to see what he can do.
yeah, I agree with you that on the skating side. Like it is a weakness, but he knows his weakness. He
Yeah.
knows how to utilize that by kind of tricking the defense by maybe going too slow and just slowing things down. So that's yeah, I'm very excited to see Gabe Perreault and how he continues to progress. The other left winger, Alexi Lafreniere, you famously said that he was going to be a
Yes.
100-point player in one season. He's been playing better of late. He has 8 points in his last 7 games after starting, a bit slow with only 3 points in his first 10 games. What do you think about him thus far? Is this kind of like a make or break season where he needs to get back to those like that 60-point mark, or else rightfully so? not that he'd get traded, but I think you can kind of label him as a disappointment if he doesn't bounce back this year.
Yeah. And you know what? Arthur Staple made a great point in our show last night saying Alexi Lafreniere is the number one overall pick, yes. But this is also his fourth coach in like his
Yeah.
sixth, you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
so as a young kid, you're being told a lot of different things, and different styles to play. And I'm not making excuses for him. Like, you're a number one overall guy. You got to go out there and be a difference maker. And he's shown that he can be. Like when I
Stretches for
tweeted
sure.
that, like I tweeted that, I think it was like early February of 2024. And I'm telling you, like that was a game where he at least set up Panarin for like 5 grade A danger chances. And I don't think he registered a point in that game. It was against Dallas. You can go back and look. And I was like, I'm telling you, this guy looks different. And the next game, like I remember we did the whole episode. The next game, he scored 2 goals against the Devils, and one of those goals, he came in on a breakaway and had like a little cheeky,
Your
like
memory is
far
outstanding.
side. Thank you. Well, I watch every game, so
Yeah.
it's funny. I remember like their games more than my own. But like, yeah, like he came in on his backhand and then like chipped it over the glove of I think
Mhm.
Markstrom was in goal. And I was like sitting in the press box, fucking laughing to myself. I was like, oh my god, I'm a genius, you know. And then he goes on that playoff run, and I'm like, okay, like things are coming along here. This is now a different guy. Last year, wash. Whole team sucked. I'm not
Oh,
gonna,
yeah, for sure.
whatever. This year, he's just been a bit more like in the early going, he was a bit more of a passenger. Um, but as of late, not only is he putting up points, he's also he's doing the little things that have led to goals that he's not getting points for. Like
Mhm.
the Gavrikov goal the other night, he wins a battle in front with Blankenberg. He gets in front of the eyes of Saros, and Gavrikov is able to score. Like he's not getting an assist on that, but he kind of is the reason that puck goes in. Um, Will Cooley's goal, he drives the middle, he pushes the D back. Will Cooley's the third guy high, he's wide open, he gets the shot because Lafreniere drives the middle. There's been a couple plays where Lafreniere has driven the middle. I think Noah Laba had a goal, maybe in Edmonton where he did the same thing. So it's the little things that are starting to pick up a little bit, and maybe that'll get him going. Again, like the guys need to see a positive result. Like now they can put all this shit behind them a little bit. And one thing I'll say about the Rangers at home, and I'm sorry that I'm talking so much, but
It's all good. You're the
um,
Rangers expert. Go
like
on.
because of the 0-6-1 start at MSG, like the shit year that was last year, it hadn't been washed. And I think now that they finally scored and won and put up 6, like it's almost like they can finally flip that page, and now the fans can almost like take a deep breath and say, okay, like we're coming back now.
Yeah.
And I think Lafreniere is a big part of that.
Yeah, and especially considering who we're going to talk about next, the Kreider and Trouba were playing so
Yeah.
good. That was definitely
Yeah.
salt in the wound. But
Yeah.
yeah, with Lafreniere, I think I saw Brat Pack go at you yesterday and call him
Always.
just like a straight up
Always.
bust.
Yeah.
And it's
Always.
like it's so tough because I've obviously clowned on Lafreniere. I don't think he's
Mhm.
ever going to live up to his draft expectations at this point. But he's not a bust. Like if
No.
he's a consistent 60-point guy in
That's
the
what I said.
NHL,
Yeah.
like disappointment. Definitely a disappointment, especially considering he wasn't like in Slavkovsky first overall, where there really wasn't that much hype. He did have that hype. It is a disappointment, but to attach a bust, like when I think bust, I think really only like Neil Yakupov. Like that's just like a
Yeah.
true bust, like out of the NHL. He still is a very good player. And as you mentioned, he's doing more of the little things. He's never gonna be like a Selkie level guy, but like in terms of offensively, I
Mhm.
think that he can be a solid 65-ish point guy going forward for the New York
Yeah.
Rangers. It's gonna be interesting to see, and we'll talk about him right now. Artemi Panarin playing with Panarin, he definitely benefits from, and what will happen once those guys start to regress a little bit, and
Mhm.
he is kind of responsible to be the line driver of some of like top line for the New York Rangers. But yeah, I think the pendulum definitely swaying too much towards bust territory after last year when it's like
Yeah.
even in his utmost down year with no power play time, he still had like 45 points, but he definitely needs to be better. Moving on to Artemi Panarin, what do you think is going to happen with him? Considering the Rangers aren't safely in a playoff spot right now, he's pending unrestricted free agent. I think we've talked about this every single episode of my podcast thus far. The
Probably.
prior to
Yeah.
just because like he is the one guy that could theoretically leave this offseason while everybody else is
Mhm.
re-signing. And I saw your clip about, and I agree with it, that like Dolan probably will try to re-sign him and try to
Yeah.
like contend with this team. What's your read right now, and what do you think the most likely outcome is, and what would a deal look like for Panarin?
Well, the better he plays, the harder it gets, right? Because if he's playing well and the Rangers are not in a playoff spot, it's like, okay, we have to move on from him. This is the one person we can trade away. We'll actually get something pretty significant in return. But at the same breath, if he's playing well and they're flirting with the playoffs, this organization wants to make the playoffs. They have no interest in missing out. So I could see them hanging on to him, and then he ends up walking in free agency or whatnot if they don't want to give him, the significant contract that he wants. It's been heavily reported, obviously, by Elliot Friedman that the conversation was about like a Kopitar $7 million deal, and he turned that down. He wants to get as much money out of his last contract that he could, and I don't blame him.
We
34
saw
years
we
old.
saw what happened in 2019. Like he
Yeah, well,
used the Islanders for a bidding war
but you
to
can't
get the
blame a
most.
guy like
No, I'm not
going
saying
on
that.
his
Yeah,
yeah,
I'm
yeah,
saying he's not going to take some hometown discount.
no,
Like,
no,
oh, we've made 2 Eastern Conference Finals. We're so close to winning. Like, rightfully so. Like a Kirill Kaprizov, he's going to want as much
yeah,
money as possible.
yeah, and I think it's going to get tricky because like if the Rangers are in a playoff spot, they're definitely not going to move on from him this year, and if they're not in a playoff spot, but they're not far off, it's like at what point does the course of direction for this franchise
Hmm.
change? Like, are you going to continue to have these older forwards, be the core of the team and just
Yeah, I was.
take a shot every year and come up short? You
Yeah, I was gonna
know,
say that, like, if you trade Panarin because you need to get younger, then you look and you're like, "Oh, Trocheck has 4 years left. Miller has
Mika,
5 years left. Mika," like, at that point, you kinda just gotta completely tear it down, like,
yeah,
and that falls on Chris Drury. Do you think Drury at all, if they miss the playoffs, his job is at all in jeopardy?
it's
I
tough
know he got the
because
extension, but
yeah,
they got the money though.
yeah, it's definitely tough. Because obviously, not that I know, but it's been reported that they have a great relationship, him and Dolan.
Mhm.
Um, and again, like it's also a tough task to come in and fix this. If that is the case. Um, yeah, it's a tough one for me to answer, but I don't know. Like I think this summer, next summer especially, I think a lot of things can change maybe, but yeah, that's a tough hypothetical for sure.
Alright, we're gonna move on from the East Coast New York Rangers to the West Coast New York Rangers, or
Mhm.
ex-New York Rangers, the
Big
Anaheim
transition.
Ducks. They lost last night, but they're still 11-4-1. They're first in the Pacific Division by 3 points. My guy Leo Carlson, Cutter
Yeah.
Gauthier, Troy Terry, Kreider, Trouba, all killing it. They're just one of the most electric teams in the NHL. We talked about the Islanders being like box office because of Schaefer. Their entire lineup, they're playing fast, they're playing fun. Joel Quenneville has implemented his system and it's found a lot of success. What has really popped in your opinion with this Anaheim Ducks team?
Well, for me, especially watching last night's game, it almost felt like they're playing positionless hockey, right? Like you
Mhm.
have Jackson Lacombe, even Jacob Trouba has shown some offensive
Oh
flashes where
yeah,
he's
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 getting up
below
there.
the goal line.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
that first goal, like Leo's goal last night, I think Trouba like makes the play from below the goal line,
Mhm.
right? So, um, that's something that like is such a big strength in today's NHL. Like if you have mobile defensemen and you have forwards that can roll up high and the defenseman can crash downhill and you got, guys staying up high to cover for the D and it's just like this onslaught of movement in the offensive zone, like that is so tough to defend. Um
Yeah, speak
so
with Trouba, like I
uh
think I've talked about this before. I feel like with the New York Rangers, he kind of got pigeonholed as like solely a defensive defenseman at times, compared to like in Winnipeg, he was a 50
yeah.
point guy. Versus now in Anaheim, Quenneville's just letting him go out there and play hockey, more of an offensive side. What do you think about that?
Well, that was also like the emergence of Fox.
Yeah, they had
And
Fox, they had Miller. Yeah, he was never gonna be like the top power play guy, but
yeah. Well, he
I'm
was
saying like he
brought
never.
here to be that. Like he originally, and at the time, Tony D'Angelo was another guy that was an
Oh
offensive
yeah.
defenseman. Um, but Trouba was, he signed that contract to run the top power play, and he was. Like I think when he first got here, he was the number one quarterback of the top unit. So, I just think once the Tony stuff happened and he left the team, Fox kind of took over that role a little bit. And David Quinn and Fox had a great relationship. And I think Quinn had a little bit of a background on Fox from coaching in college and watching him play
Mhm.
at Harvard. So once that happened, it just kind of emerged into Fox being the number one offensive threat from the blue line. And
Yeah,
then
rightfully so.
Keandre comes in and puts up that 40-point season. And, I think it just developed in that way. I don't know if that was the initial intention. And that happens too. And that's a good thing to happen, right? It's not a good thing if you're paying a guy $8 million and like he's basically playing your third pair, but like if the team's winning, who cares, right?
Yeah.
Um, so that was how that happened. And this year, I just think Anaheim plays at such a faster pace than the Rangers did. Like again, like they're young, they're quick. Beckett Seneca has
The
been,
kid line is
yeah,
insane. They are so fun to watch.
and who could have guessed, right? Like I think everyone anticipated the Ducks to have a pretty decent year, but like to do
Yeah, I
what
thought
they're
they were gonna be
doing.
fast, but I thought the defense still wasn't quite there.
Mhm.
Dahl going from playing like 40 games to 55 being the full-time starter. But basically everything has like gone right for them. Even guys like Mikkel Granlund came in, and although he's been
Yeah,
hurt, he has 8 points in 8 games. Like across the entire lineup, basically everybody is stepping up. And like Jackson Lacombe is their number one defenseman, is
yeah.
the one guy that's like not producing. So that's like obviously some of their guys are gonna come back down to earth. I don't think Leo Carlson's gonna go for like 110 points, but like all of the signs are pointing towards this team being somewhat of a legit threat in the Western Conference. You think that they could make noise in the playoffs?
Um,
Win a round or two, not
yeah. Well,
cup
who
final.
I guess who they be playing right now, the Sharks or the Blackhawks, right? Like they'd be
Yeah,
playing.
right
If the
now.
playoffs started today, they would be who Colorado would be playing San Jose, and is Chicago the
Pull it
one?
up. I can pull
I
it
think
up. I don't know how much that's going to stay, but I think that they're probably, if I had to guess, they're probably going to finish second in the Pacific and probably have to play
like
Edmonton.
Vegas. You
Unfortunately,
think
yeah,
Vegas will?
Vegas or
Yeah,
Edmonton. That is the tough thing, but yeah, I look at this team and like, although it would be their first run, they do have veterans like Kreider and Truba. They are a
yeah.
big ass team. Like when I think of Utah, their first playoff run, I think they might struggle a decent much because they're a smaller skill team. But this Ducks team like has the size.
Mhm.
Carlson, Seneca,
Cutter
McTavish is a
too.
big boy.
Cutter's a
Yeah,
big boy.
yeah, Cutter, and like they have the size, they have the speed, they have the depth. Like the forward core is just straight up one of the best in the NHL. They could add like maybe a second pair right-handed defenseman or something. Like they could be a threat. They really don't have that much of a weakness besides maybe not having like Lacombe's not that franchise defenseman, but
Mhm.
besides that, it's looking like they're ticking off most of the boxes with the emergence of Dahl again.
Yeah, no, I think they're legit. Again, the pace they play at, like
Mhm.
that's the big thing for me. Like it's hard to keep up with the Colorado Avalanche. And I know, the first like 5 to 10 minutes last night, Colorado was kind of all over them. But they settled in. They got their feet under them a little bit. I think that goal from Leo Carlson settled things down for them. And they had chances to take a lead. Like Troy Terry had a 2-on-1 chance, went to his backhand.
Mhm.
Wedgwood stopped it. They had another 2-on-1 chance after that. I think it might have been Beckett actually. That I don't know if he got a shot off or not, but I know they were trading chances there for a decent stretch. But even though they lost, that's got to be a big confidence boost for them, knowing that they can at least keep up with the team that skates like Colorado at home.
Yeah, they definitely held their own against the Colorado Avalanche, and they've beaten some of the best teams in the Western Conference,
Yeah.
like the Vegas Golden Knights. They beat the Florida Panthers like a week ago, and especially a large part because of Chris Kreider, like the way that the power play has
Yeah.
improved, going from the worst in the NHL last year to now being 11th best. They had the fourth worst penalty kill last year. That's up to still not very good, but 23rd. It's not as bad.
Mhm.
Like the way that they have just taken a step in every single department has been so encouraging, and Quenville is like definitely in the Jack Adams discussion as well.
Yeah. I think as far as Quinville right now, he has to be in the lead. No?
Uh, Muse, maybe
First in the division from a team that hasn't made the playoffs in how many years has it been?
Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh was expected to be bad. In fairness, like I predicted them to be really, really bad. So I'm just dumb, but like it's 1A, 1B.
But it's still different though.
Uh,
Like Pittsburgh's still like, what's their record? They're not top of the
they're
division. They're
second, no, third in the division.
they're third. I just looked at it. Yeah,
Nine,
third
5, and 3. It's a debate. It's a debate.
for sure. I'll embrace debate always.
You want to go over the Hart debate now?
Yeah, we should. We
What's
should.
what's your hot take? I'm very interested because I
Well,
still think that I'm standing by my guy.
it wasn't my hot take, to be honest. Like me and Colby talked about it this morning, and he changed my train of thought. Because we were talking about like Nathan McKinnon, obviously, and Leo and Bedard and Macklin. Like those seem to be the names at the forefront
Mhm.
right now. But Kale is also playing like an MVP too. So
Yeah,
if you remove Nate from Colorado, Colorado is still a better team than if you remove Macklin from San Jose. Like I think Macklin is actually the guy now.
I
Over like I said Leo last week, and I'm like, okay, maybe it's Macklin if San Jose is in the playoff spot. Like if you
Mhm.
take Macklin off that team, what do you got there?
I I get what you're saying, but for me, it's very like 2019 Kucherov, if that makes sense. Like they were
But it's most
128
valuable
point.
to their team.
But
It's like
again, like he's the best player on the best team. Yes, The Avalanche are on pace for 130 points right now. It's not
Yes.
like I would get what you're saying if
Mhm.
same stats, but they were on pace for like 110 points. They're on pace right now to have one of the best regular seasons of like NHL history.
Cale
So
McCarr could easily be the MVP too then.
if you look at the on-off numbers between McKinnon and
Alright.
McCarr, it decently favors McCarr.
But
But I'm just
yeah,
saying, like,
okay.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, they might still be a safe playoff team, but they're a 130 point team down to 108. Like, so it's like it's all relative. Like the Sharks would go from 95 to 75. It's the same. Like I
More
get what you
more
mean
than that, more
from
than
play.
that.
Yeah, that's fair. Ascarov's been playing very good of late, but like, yeah, I definitely get that argument. But at the end of the day, when McKinnon is going for 68 goals, 155 point face, like it's hard for me to argue against that, especially when, in my opinion, although McCarr has been great, he still has been pretty head and shoulders the best player on that team.
Okay, so let me ask you a question, because I'm blanking on the
McKinnon,
act.
Macklin's second for me. I just want to say that. Like, I understand the argument, and he definitely be
Uh-huh.
second for me. The way that he's just like impacted the game on a two-way basis, and especially like I think he's been involved in like all three of their overtime winners. Maybe it's even four. Like, whenever they need a clutch goal, he stepped
Yeah.
up.
Okay, question for you. I'm gonna test your memory and your knowledge because I actually don't know the answer off my head. But I know this year stands out for this player, and you should know. You were probably so young, but um, the Islanders
Okay, young.
lost to the Capitals in Game 7, 2015, right? 2015.
Yeah,
That was
before
like
they left
the
for the
who was it? Kuznetsov in
COVID.
Game 7 that like walked across the slot and
Yeah, I
went
actually don't remember that
upstairs.
much.
Okay. Well, I thought that year John Tavares should have won the MVP. Tavares put
Yeah,
up
when
like
he
80
was like
something
two off the Art
points.
Ross. Mhm.
Yeah. And because I said, you take John Tavares off the Islanders, they're not making the playoffs. They're
But that
not.
was when Hart. That was when Price had like a
Was
935.
that Carey Price? That was his year that
Yeah,
he won it?
yeah, that was like yeah, he had like Thomas Plekanec as his number one center.
Okay. That's probably a tougher debate. But do you get what I'm saying? Like
Yeah,
Tavares had that ability to like literally uplift the Islanders to the playoffs. And I think Macklin, if San Jose makes the playoffs, how could you argue like, you know what I mean?
I get what you're saying.
It's
Yeah, that's I agree that that would be like a Taylor Hall 2018 versus when you were
1000%.
making the Leo argument. Although the Ducks were
Yeah.
safely in the divisional spot, I was like, Cutter Gauthier might have
Yeah.
45 goals. Dosh Stahl right now would be a Vezina finalist. I do get the Macklin argument more in terms of one-time
Mhm.
carry. And funny enough, McKinnon didn't win the Hart in 2018 because Hall carried the
Yeah.
Devils to a playoff spot.
Yeah.
Like he was second that year. He also missed like 8 games. He probably would have won it. But yeah, I just still I think it is relative. I get that argument of from playoff spot to bottom of the league, but I
Mhm.
still think if the Avalanche go for 100 high 120s, like you can make that argument that although they might still be, they go from the first to the sixth best team in the NHL, it's still a 25-point difference.
Yeah. But I also think everyone's interpretation of like MVP is different, right? Like I don't look at MVP as the best player on the
Yeah.
like last year's I mean the Hart not the Hart. The Conn Smythe is the perfect example. Sam Bennett is not the best player on the Panthers, but he was the most like you know what I mean? Like
Mhm.
he stepped up and like and got them over the hump, right? So if it was like the best player in the league award, it's different. But when it's the most valuable player, like the value of Macklin to the Sharks changes the whole course of their season.
Yeah.
Where Colorado and Kale and Nate, like it just, I think it just changes my mindset a little bit when they still have so much talent on that team that can get them to the playoffs without him. And that's
Brock
probably taking
Nelson 1C. I don't know.
that's probably taking a lot away from Nathan McKinnon, and I don't mean to do that because Nathan McKinnon, again, like he's right there with Connor McDavid. But
Mm.
I think just having the supporting cast that Colorado has, it just makes it different for me the way I look at that award.
Yeah, that's definitely fair. I think there should be some distinction, but I just think McKinnon has so far and away
Yeah,
played
he's insane.
best
Everyone
player.
knows
And
that.
also,
Yeah,
again, yeah, how they're on pace for 130 points. If they were just having a pedestrian, they were still first in the NHL, but it was only 114 points. That's what the Jets
yeah,
had last year to win. I get what you're saying, but right now, going at that historic pace, and a lot of that has to do with overtime, shootout losses. They should switch to, or do you agree with that? They should switch to 3-2-1-0 point
yeah.
system.
Oh yeah.
Like,
Can I give you homework too?
sure.
So Nate has 18 assists. Macklin has 16 assists. I would bet you that Macklin has more primaries.
I can pull that up. I got
You
Evolving
can?
Hockey.
How
Yeah.
do you see? Okay.
Evolving Hockey has it. Sorry for the podcast listeners at home. primary Bedard, I think Bedard leads the NHL in prime. Oh, yeah, but Macklin has 11 primary assists.
Is that the most?
Makar has 10. No, Bedard does at 13.
Mm.
McKinnon still has 9. It's not a huge gap, but
Half of
yeah.
his assists are secondaries then. Come on, that says
That's
something,
that
no?
that 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 is important to a degree, but, yeah, I just think
He's getting
especially with
5 on 3 secondary assists.
no, stop
No,
that,
I
but,
love McKinnon. I love McKinnon. I'm not trying to sound like a McKinnon hater, but I've like the what Macklin's done is just
no,
unbelievable.
that like, I love that Macklin's even that it's a debate, like, the fact he's doing this, and we basically already talked about Celebrini, we could talk a little
Yeah.
about Bedard now, but, like, the fact that he is this good at 19 years old, it's unlike anything we've seen, like, since a Connor McDavid, since an Austin Matthews in terms of walking into the NHL, and Connor Bedard, I had him, like, 10th in my heart ranking, and people, like, lost their mind, but that was more so just because Spencer Knight has also been so good, if
Yeah.
that makes sense,
Yeah.
like, people took that as a slight when I was, like, rewarding both of them, if that makes sense, but what is your thoughts early on been about Connor Bedard in his hot start?
I mean, he's been you know what? I actually I I don't know if I could, like, say I predicted a good year from him because I did say to Colby, like, after I was at Player Media Tour, like, I was talking to him a little bit, and he seemed like he was more, like, sure of himself as a person, like,
Mhm.
speaking more confidently, just, like, almost sounding, like, more humanized, if that makes sense. Um,
Yeah, he seemed very
like
uptight his first 2 years and, like,
and
paranoid at
who can
times.
blame him? Who could blame him? Like,
Yeah.
he had all the attention in the world on him, and, I've gotten to see him at the Player Media Tour now 3 years in a row, and this year, I we were talking as, like, just normal, normal dudes where, like, it hasn't been as conversational in the recent years. So I just think, like, he's grown into himself a little bit more as a person, and
Mhm.
that goes a long way. Like, he's still not even 21 years old.
Yeah.
So
Having
I
someone
think
like Frank Nazar to play with that is, like,
yeah,
the bestest of friends compared to him playing with, like, Nick Foligno and Tyler Bertuzzi mainly last
mhm.
year.
And Blashill has done stepped in and done a good job too.
Mhm.
Um, but I think we also have to keep in mind, like, and again, I'll go back to what Steven Stamkos was kind of saying. This wasn't in my video, but I kind of listened in with his conversation with Greg Wyshynski actually, and they had a. I don't know when Greg's putting out that article, but Greg spoke to Stamkos about the pressure of being, a number one coming in at 18, all that responsibility, and like Stamkos said, like it's unfair to give that kind of responsibility and attention to an 18-year-old, but that's just the nature of the beast, you
Yeah,
know.
when you have the
But we
hyper
have to keep in
infinite
mind
original 6 market.
like, what were we doing at 18? You know what I mean? Like, I was playing junior hockey in North American League, and I didn't know who
Blacking
the
out
hell
at U Miami.
I didn't know who I was as a person. Like, you don't know who you are as a person. I've changed
Mhm.
so much in the last 3 years, let alone since I was 18. So, the Connor Bedard that we've seen in the first 2 years isn't the Connor Bedard we're gonna see in the next 5. Like, they're gonna constantly grow and evolve and change, and I think as sports fans, we tend to lose patience, right? We're so quick to jump to the negative. And I always think about that scene in Air actually. Matt Damon
Great movie.
knocks it out when he's like, we're going to build you up and build you up, and you're going to be this unbelievable, superstar that you can't possibly live up to. And the second you start to crack, we're going to break you down, and it's going to get hard. Like, that whole scene. I can't do it, but that's how we are as well. And I think you have to, when you criticize these guys, you have to keep in mind just what a human being is like at that
Yeah,
age.
yeah.
I'm more of a softer, sensitive guy when it comes to that stuff. Like, again, I don't want to ramble too much here, but I I hope it doesn't happen. Um, I've been saying so much like on my shows that I think Matthew Schaefer has established himself as such a lovable kid that it's almost going to be impossible to give him that kind of criticism. But it's going to come at some point from sports fans, like it
Oh,
always
once
does.
once the Islanders actually have expectations and he doesn't deliver on a Norris
Yeah.
level season, like it's gonna start. I don't think there were people that like fully turn on him like we're seeing maybe in like Toronto with like an Austin
Yeah.
Matthews. But yeah, at some point they will trip up. But I think especially with Bedard, as you mentioned before, the maturity and just out there having fun, it has definitely been on full display
Mhm.
from him. And yeah, it was wild. Like I definitely criticized him a little bit just based on not taking like a huge step last year. But he still had 67 points like at age
Yeah.
19
20
with
plus
not a
goals.
lot of like talent around him. Like the way that people were talking about him as if like, oh, he doesn't even go top 2 in some kind of redraft. Like he's not one of the best young players in the NHL. Like
Yeah.
people do need to pump the tires on him. Chicago, they weren't expecting to make the playoffs in his second season. Like that was a nuclear tank compared to Connor McDavid in his second season, who won the Hart Trophy. He already had Leon Draisaitl, who's a 70-point player. He already had Ryan Nugent Hopkins, pieces around him. Like Crosby also won the Hart in his second year. And I think it's just unfair to compare them to those two
Yeah.
guys that are going to be top four Mount Rushmore players of all time. But it's good to see the narrative kind of switch around him and him just having more fun out there and celebrating
Mhm.
it because he plays with Will Smith. Like they've always just been goofy, having fun. The
Yeah.
vibes have always been good with that team. Meanwhile, with
Yeah.
Bedard, because he did have that generational tag, while maybe a Celebrini hyped up, but he's exceeded expectations, similarly to Matthew Schaefer. Yeah, those two kind of immediately became the darlings of the media. Meanwhile, Bedard, after that rookie year, was like, what's next? What's next? What's next? And I feel like that's kind of been unfair for him.
Mhm. But I think the personality goes along with it, right? Like Connor wasn't the most outgoing.
Mhm.
Um, and I think, like I said, with Schaefer, he's just so damn lovable. You watch him play and it's exciting, but everything away from the rink, it's like, who could hate this kid? Who could like I think he's uncriticizable just because of who he is as a person. Like I'm telling you, like
Yeah, his
there's
story.
no
Yeah.
question in his confidence. There's no question about his maturity. Like if he doesn't play well, he just won't play well. It's not going to be because of the other things. Like his charisma. Like I am like in awe of everything that Matthew Schaefer is. I really am.
Yeah, I'm never gonna criticize someone
Yeah.
for speaking their mind about Matthew Schaefer. I love that. But going from one previously generational labeled prospect to a guy that had some near generational hype before this season entering his draft year, Gavin McKenna, and we're going to talk about college hockey too. I think it's safe to say that the production has not been relative to what we expected. He still has 14 points in 12 games as a 17-year-old. It's not bad by any stretch, but when you compare it to a Celebrini and Fantilli that had like mid 60-ish points in like 35 to 40 games, and I know that Penn State, I believe he's not playing on the same line with like a Charlie Serrato. They're not stacking them like a
Hmm.
2023, 2024 Boston College. Granted, he should be able to drive his own line in college, and he has to a degree. But yeah, I think for me with McKenna, I haven't watched every single one of his games. I'm not that worried. Yes, is he not like a McDavid Bedard? No, probably not as a prospect. But watching him, I think the skill and the playmaking has still been very evident. It is just more so of the two-way engagement and the fact that he's still only 6 foot, like 165 pounds. Like I'd rather have it that he's getting a little bit tossed around out there and maybe just needs to work on his defensive side than, oh, he's an energizer bunny out there, but lacks the high end skill, if that makes
Yeah.
sense. Like, I think you can work on the two-way game. You can still put on 15, 20 pounds. The fact that I have seen at least flashes, maybe it hasn't translated to as many points as you'd want, but I've still seen, and even in that Michigan State game, those two games, even though they lost and lost one pretty handily, I still think I've seen enough high end skill to think that I think that this guy can be a 90 to 100 point winger at the NHL level. What's your early interpretations of Gavin McKenna?
Yeah, I think you know what? It's so tough to pinpoint because I obviously think a lot about last year and James Hagen's, and he was kind of this like unanimous number one going into the year, and people don't understand how difficult Division 1 hockey is.
Hmm.
Like what Macklin did, obviously super impressive. And he was noticeable every single shift he was out there at BU, like he really was. And again, like that's because of his work ethic. Um, I think Fantilli was a little bit more physically mature
Oh yeah,
at
definitely.
Michigan. Like he was a strong beast of a kid. And McKenna, like you said, the playmaking's there, the vision's there. He had one assist this year in one of his early games. I think it might have been the first game actually. The puck just like bounced out to him in the slot, and
And he
he
found like
found maybe
kind of like faked the
DeMarsico.
shot. Yeah, he kind of like faked the
Yeah,
shot, slid it over.
at
Yeah, it was pretty
ASU. You know what I'm talking about? Like the
Mhm.
second goal of
Yeah.
the game. And I was like, holy shit, like that's a tough play to make. Um, so again, like it's an adjustment, but he hasn't been like this dominant, again, so hyped up last year in the WHL, right? Because everything you see
Higher
is like
points
a
per game than
highlight reel
Bedard.
goal.
Yeah.
But it's also like you get so used to seeing them do things you can't, like the behind the back move he made in like that 2-on-2 where he like cuts across the middle,
Did like
puts
a
it behind his own
spin.
back, gets it,
Yeah.
and then like snipes. Like you're not seeing that happen in college. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like these guys are, and I think it's going to be a big wake up call for a lot of kids too, like to realize how hard Division 1 is. Because everyone plays the game like it's 100 miles a minute. Everyone backtracks and stays above the puck. Like, you know
Mhm.
what I mean? The best college teams are the teams that don't allow odd man rushes. Like I watched Maine play against UMass this weekend, and I don't think Maine got a single. I mean, I don't think UMass got a single odd man rush. Like Maine just skates their balls off, and that's the opponents you're going to see. Especially when if you're playing against Gavin McKenna and he's out there, you are, oh boy, you
Yeah,
all you want to do.
you're aware of where he is in
Yeah,
every yeah.
exactly. You do not want to get embarrassed. So, it's an adjustment. I'm not worried about him at all. But I do think people are definitely starting to understand that a kid as highly touted as they are is just it's not an automatic that they're going to come in and light up college hockey. Like college hockey is very, very good.
Yeah, we've kind of just seen 3 generational performances, whether it was Jack Eichel in 2015,
Yeah,
Adam
but it's also
Fantilli.
gotten better, you know, like
Yeah.
when Eichel was playing, when Kyle Connor like, they're also amazing players and they lit it up, but college hockey has gotten better
Yeah, especially
since
even from McKenna Celebrini to McKenna. Now you have this
yeah,
all this influx of WHL, OHL, QMJHL talent, like, even in the past 2
ECHL
years.
talent.
Yeah, even in the past couple yeah, AHL. Isn't there a guy that played
Yeah,
a couple AHL games? Like, there's grown ass men coming in. But, yeah, even in the past 2 years, not saying it's like another different sport level, but,
yeah,
it definitely has improved. So, yeah, the fact it just goes to show how special his draft year -1 was, that, like, we're saying, like, 14 points in 12 games, this guy's a
yeah,
bum. But I think as long as he just finishes at, like, 55-ish points, Penn State has a good season, he still, rightfully so, should be the first overall pick
yeah,
because of just the high-end skills. So there, I've compared him to, like, a Kucherov in terms of just, like, the slipperiness.
mhm,
Once he gets into the zone, like, it is the playmaking and the puck skills. He just has it on a string. It's very impressive. But moving on to overall college hockey, am I ridiculous for saying that Michigan State is, like, the no doubt favorite right now based on what they've been doing
no,
recently? Like, they're
no,
not.
it's yeah,
Martone is a guy
Martone,
that put on a bunch of weight, already is like 6'3", 210 pounds, and has just been wrecking shit. Augustine has a 944. He, of course, was a second round pick to Detroit in 2023, I believe. Charlie Schrammel, he like started off
mhm.
really. I remember he had like a brutal. I think it's draft year. He played at Wisconsin. He like did not produce at all, but he's really carved
Didn't he get
out.
hurt or no, am I wrong?
And maybe that was his second year, but I remember like he got
I don't
drafted
know.
to Minnesota and people were like, "Oh, that's interesting." But like he's really
Yeah,
become an effective college hockey player. And I looked it up, like even Lindstrom, Shane Van Sage, Riker Lee, like those guys haven't
mhm.
exactly been killing it offensively. I think that they will, and like they're still so damn good. So what is your interpretation? Who's your favorite right now in Michigan State, and what's some other teams you think are gonna have a legit shot?
I mean, again, like for college hockey, it's all about pace, right? And I think the skill, talent level of Michigan State, like the pace they play at, it's very hard to generate much against them because the best defense is a good offense, right? You can't even take the
Hmm.
puck off their sticks in the offensive zone. Um, I think they're the clear cut favorite. I haven't seen every team play it, to be honest.
Yeah, me either.
And most of the games I watch are Hockey East because I'm doing UMass games, doing the Boston schools. So I haven't seen Michigan play a ton. Michigan State, excuse me. Watched them play against the BU games, obviously when they came into BU and
Yeah.
swept. Um, but again, like they're just consistent.
Mm.
They're consistent, and it's so hard to sweep teams in college, and they continuously do so. And the goaltending obviously helps. Having Augustine back there is a huge advantage. But like Albin Boya, who's an All American, hasn't been as great this year. Michael Harabel has had some struggles this year. Yegorov at BU has struggled this year. I haven't seen North Dakota play yet.
Me
I've heard
neither. No.
Verhoff is off to a great start.
Yeah, he's like 5 goals
And
as
I
a
think
defenseman, just
didn't
crushing it.
didn't Stoffer say on Chicklets yesterday like
The
he's the
best,
best defenseman to come
yeah.
out of the CHL in the last 25 years.
Might have been Western Canada, but yeah. Yeah, he's
And
a beast.
Duluth, I think the Plant brothers, right? Like they're on fire.
Oh,
So
yeah, Max
I
Plant
haven't
is
seen
sick.
much of them either. Like there's so
Wisconsin,
many
I think is an underrated squad. I'm obviously biased because
where
they got my boy Quinn Finley.
yeah.
Yeah, they got Quinn
Um
Finley, they got Hensler, they got this WHL goaltender that's been killing it, but I think that might be an underrated team.
it's honestly it's tough to like keep up with everybody. So to sit here and say like, like I'm not gonna Michigan State is that good. I haven't watched everyone else
Yeah,
enough
no,
to
same.
like,
I've not watched
you know,
nearly enough.
but BC also has been weird. I think they're missing Jacob Fowler much more than they thought they would. Gabe
Mm,
and Leno obviously are two guys that are missing. I get to see them this weekend. They got UMass for a home and home. I'm doing both games, so I'm excited to see
ooh,
BC
let's go.
and see
I'll
James
tune in then.
Hagens.
Yeah, he
Um,
hasn't taken. I mean, granted, yeah, again, his wingers have
yeah.
not playing with the same level of talent, but it's good to see that Dean Latorno is playing much better for the Boston
Mhm.
Bruins. He's actually, I mean, couldn't have played much worse in terms of
Yeah.
production last year. But yeah, him and Teddy Steger are now kind of a lot more responsibility on that Boston College team.
Yeah, and Gasol, I think, has been hurt too, and he's like a big piece of their puzzle too. But yeah, like the disparity in college hockey has certainly changed a lot too. So, the question was, is Michigan State right like that legit? And from
Hmm.
what I've seen so far, yes, they
It's
are.
hard to argue against it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, it's still very early. We're only 8 or 10 games into the college hockey season, so about a third of the way there. But yeah, I got a lot more college hockey to watch. That's for sure.
Yep, and you gotta be tuning into UMass. Nestrasil's been doing really good, right? I was
Yeah,
very
he's a
high on him in the
beast.
draft process. Like
He's a beast.
he has a high motor. What is he like 6'5", decent
I
shot,
think 6'6" maybe.
6'6", yeah.
Yeah, his playmaking ability separates him too, and
Mhm.
again, defensively, he's getting a little bit better too. He's got a very long reach. He thinks the game so well too. He actually made like one little play the other night where he got the puck in the neutral zone, like it was kind of a loose puck, and it was a 2-on-2 rush, and the puck was a little bit far away. So he like reached with one hand and like pulled the puck between his legs and started going on a yeah, it was sick.
I love that, yeah.
Um,
I love how Chicago took him and, like, what's his name? The
Mason
quarterback.
West,
Yeah,
yeah.
they just swung for the fences.
That kid's a
Got too big.
beauty, dude. Mason
Yeah,
West is gonna be like a media darling when he steps into the NHL.
yeah,
He's probably joining Fargo here soon too, because I think his football season's almost over.
yeah.
But yeah, no, I think yeah, Nestor Still's been great. Jack Mausa, another like underrated upcoming free agent. Jeremy
Mhm.
Wilmer, Quinnipiac, Long Island boy. You can
Nice,
probably keep your
nice.
eyes on.
Well
And
said.
Ethan Wittenbach, actually a freshman at Quinnipiac right
Yeah.
now, drafted in the 5th round to Calgary. He played in the USHL last year. He's lighting it up, and Calgary might have gotten a steal from him too.
Calgary's been doing good. But yeah, it was awesome to have you on, brother. Greatly appreciate
Anytime.
it. Yeah.
That's it. I thought we were doing 65 minutes.
No, we cut it a little bit early. We got a first overall pick draft attached to this with
Mm,
some guys. But yeah, it was awesome to have you. I'll definitely have you on again at some point this season,
yeah.
whether it's because of the Rangers or something else happens within your orbit. But plug away. Feel free to plug away.
No need. No need. Thanks, Mike. You're the
I'll
best.
plug for you. Check out Morning Cup of Coffee, Tri-State Hockey, all of his socials. I'll give the link tree. Just send it to me.
Thanks, Mike. Appreciate you. You're the best.
All right, now we're gonna go do that draft. Thank you, Laz. Peace. All right, so now we have another installment of the Draft Boys, and we are looking at building the best team solely out of first overall picks. We got Babiak yet again with us, and we're also joined by Ben of Rangers Ringside. He was so generous to donate $250 to the MB Cross Long Island fundraiser, and as a result, he is going to be doing the Draft Boys with us today. He's actually been involved with the page before when me and Babiak had a podcast episode and had some camera malfunctions. He actually like did like animation drawings of us, like with our mouths open, speaking whenever we spoke. So yeah, Ben, how are we? How are we doing? And are you excited to be on the Draft Boys today?
Hey, yeah, thanks, Mike. Thanks for having me today. I've been a fan for a while of the page. Started my own little thing, Rangers fan. So doing little things for that, doing graphics, and just excited. Love hockey, so love to be part of it.
Yeah, he's a rare breed, a generous, compassionate Ranger fan. You
Oh
absolutely
yeah,
love to
yeah,
see
of
it.
course, of course.
Babiak, how are we doing? You excited to get back to drafting?
Yeah, why not? It's more fun without Mags here. Get some new people
Whoa,
in.
yeah, Mags had some. We couldn't make the schedule work. Going forward, it's probably just going to be me, Babiak, and Magani, and then bring on like a guest whenever. And it's probably only going to be like every 3 weeks because we saw this off season like we were grasping at ideas for drafts. We did like a holiday draft. It got a little bit loopy, but yeah, I think this is a great topic considering Matthew Schaefer's tearing it up, Celebrini, Bedard, all some of the best players in the NHL right now. Crosby, Tavares, former first overall picks, still playing at a very high level. So yeah, it's going to be 4 forwards, 1 defenseman, considering there's only 4 first overall active defensemen in the NHL. So it's not exactly like a traditional team. And obviously no goaltender. Marc-Andre Fleury was the only first overall that was still in the league, and he's no longer in the league. So we're just building the best team, 4 forwards, 1 defenseman. Pretty straightforward. Ben had the first selection. He decided to select second, Babiak third. Snake draft, I'm going first. Are we ready, boys?
Let's go.
I absolutely hate that I'm selecting first overall. And although he's not the best first overall pick, I think I am going to go with Rasmus Dahlin just because of positional value. He's been off to a bit of a slow start, but when this guy is healthy, in my opinion, he's a top 5 defenseman in the NHL. when you look at the gaps between the forwards, the defensemen, I think Dahlin is the pick here, even though it's not the most sexy pick. But that's who I'm going with. Ben, you are up.
All right, yeah. Well, I mean, you took my first overall pick for the same exact reason. If you weren't going to take him, I was going to take Darlene just for positional. But I mean, he's here. I got to take McDavid with my first overall. No, there's really no question, no explanation needed in dominating the league for how many years now already.
Yeah.
It just continues to off to a little bit of a slower start to the season, but I think it'll pick up back up.
Yeah, his slow start is still like 115 point
Right,
pace.
right. For him, it's
yeah, he's still nutty. Babiak, who we rolling with? You got the back to back.
I'm gonna roll with the Nova Scotian double here. McKinnon should be very uncontroversial as the next up choice. After that, Sidney Crosby's reached a point in his career where a lot of people, I think, are taking his greatness for granted. Last year, 90 points, 10th in the league on a below average team. This year, for a second, he was leading the league in goals. At time of recording, he's 4th in the league in goals. Again, for a well below average team that's punching well above its weight. Like, you look down those forward lines right now, top to bottom, Sidney Crosby has less scoring help than Macklin Celebrini does right now. In 2025,
Fair.
That's what the situation is. Crosby, more than most of these potential number one overall picks, is actually a valuable two-way player. I mean, there are some guys who give you two-way value. Frankly, most of this list does not. So as far as team building, there's experience in chemistry, playing international, those two on a line. Crosby makes the most sense, I feel.
Yeah, I'm a little bit surprised you didn't go defenseman, but yeah, I can't really argue Crosby considering some of the other first overall picks have not been as much up to snuff as Crosby to start out this year. Ben, you're up.
Yeah. Okay. So McKenna and Crosby off my list. Those were my 2 and 3 after McDavid. So I actually have Matthews over Celebrini, and I'm thinking right now if I would switch it and have take Celebrini right now. I'm wondering because Celebrini, you were watching him and he's just dominating, but Matthews is Matthews.
Mm-hmm.
But as of right now, I think I'd still take Matthews over Celebrini.
Yeah.
But if this were a draft for more than just 1 year, I would do Celebrini. I think I would do Celebrini, but I'll take Matthews right now.
Yeah, it's tough. Matthews has started out pretty slow. Celebrini's playing insane.
Right.
I'm gonna go with Celebrini and Jack Hughes for my next two picks. I think that's after this in terms of the forwards. I wish I honestly could take like a second defenseman and just fuck you guys over because I think there's only one other guy remaining that's like in the tier of Dahlin. But yeah, Hughes and Celebrini. Hughes, amazing start to the season when he is healthy. He can get you 40 goals, like 100 points. We saw that in 2023. And Celebrini is just already emerging as, I think, probably a top 25 player in the NHL. And as Babiak talked about with Crosby, he does offer a two-way game. Even Jack Hughes plays solid defense. So I think those are pretty easily my next two guys, and I'm pretty happy. Maybe not the biggest guys, but they're effective and get it done.
Calling Jack Hughes a two-way guy like Crosby is unhinged.
Not to that level, yeah, I guess, but he's still effective defensively. He's not like some other guys that we'll get into.
Yeah, he's not a pylon out there, but there's levels to it, and Hughes is firmly mid-level, not high level.
I'd agree with that. Yeah, I think Celebrini definitely better than Hughes defensively.
That's fair. That's fair.
Yeah.
Ben, what's it gonna be? Forward, defenseman? What are we thinking?
I mean, I'm gonna take my defenseman right now. I'm gonna take Schaefer. As much as I don't like the Islanders, I love Schaefer as a player. I watched the interviews, just his story. Watching him play is just. I hate that I like him so much because he's an Islander, But I can't not take him here. First of all, I need a defenseman, and I like the pick. I think he's going to be a great guy. Already a great guy, and just going to develop more and more. And not looking forward to playing him over the years.
Yeah, he pretty easily is the second best defenseman first overall right now, at least. And I like the strategy of locking up your defenseman. Babiak, 2 to you. I assume you're taking 2 forwards, considering you could just wait for defenseman.
Yeah, so first up, I'll go Connor Bedard, who I'm kind of surprised I guess, fell here. I mean, right now at this minute, I feel like the gap between Bedard, Celebrini, and Jack Hughes, those three as players, is a completely random coin flip. On any given day, one might be better, one might be worse off than the other. Um, Bedard, he is more offensively focused, but again, we're seeing the breakout this year on a team that does not have help. I mean, San Jose is not like a loaded roster, but as far as the forward talent on that top six, they have a lot more to work with than Bedard has to work with. And in that context, Bedard's scoring is incredible. Next pick up,
Gets interesting here.
it gets interesting. Here's where it gets really
Here's where
taking stabs at guys. And I'll say the next person up who I think is most likely to win a trophy in their career is Nico Hischier. And by that logic, I would rather have a Selke perennial level guy like Nico Hischier as opposed to the more offensive upside that, I don't know, Slafkovsky might give you. Tavares still might give you, but I'll take Hischier as the lockdown guy.
Yeah, I think you crushed those two picks. Talking about Bedard, like the fact that he's like reviving Andre Burakovsky's career is like maybe more impressive than his actual stat line. And yeah, Hischier. I should have Bedard is in that tier of Celebrini and Hughes. I kind of misspoke with that, but yeah, Hischier's like the clear next best forward, and now it drops off a sizable amount. Ben, who you going with?
Yeah, here now the drop off here is pretty big. I got a bunch of players ranked here, and honestly, these players I have them like ranked 8th through 15, and you could switch them up anyway, and I could hear an argument for the one being on the top and one being on the bottom. But I think I'll take Tavares here with my next pick. I think I'll take Tavares. He's playing decently well this season. He's got almost a point per game, I'm pretty sure, this season. He's past few seasons, he's been great. Yes, he's playing with Matthews. Yes, he played with Marner previous seasons, but I think just the leadership, the 200-foot game, the just one of the I think the most all-around player left on the board still.
I don't know how good defensively he is here, but I'll help you make your case. He has 9 goals, 12 assists, 21 points in 16 games right now. He is absolutely crushing
even
it.
more than I thought. Yeah.
Yeah, but yeah, I think that's also probably the next best player on this list for me to finish it out. And I am not finish out my team at least. And I'm not liking my team right now, to be honest. I'm gonna go with. Oh, dude, this is not good. I'm gonna go with Ovechkin. I know that he's not playing good to start out the season, but I think for my team build right now, I do like his shot just with guys like Hughes and Celebrini that can play make at a high level. I'm not saying that he's actually no, he is probably the best guy remaining, but I think if he I don't know, like he's not playing up to snuff, but considering last year he had 44 goals in 69 games, like he still has it. He's just getting off to a slow start. This happened 2 years ago where he had like 5 goals in his first 30 games and then flipped the switch and went at 50 goal pace the rest of the way. I refuse to believe. I think he still has the goal record hangover and he's going to pick it up eventually. And then for my last pick, I'm going to just go with Ryan Nugent-Hopkins. Not the sexiest pick, but again, just a solid two-way 60 to 70 point guy. And yeah, that finishes out my team. Ben, your last pick.
I want to just jump in here real quick and say
For
that Alexander Ovechkin is 40. I think it's really taking a gamble and a big swing to think that he's going to get back to his previous heights, as opposed to just kind of having one last mid-year when he's 40 years old and then after this season retire back to Russia. I do not expect any kind of crazy turnaround from him. I think this is just what 40-year-old, not very motivated in the regular season Ovechkin looks like.
Yeah, but if he was playing with Hughes and Celebrini, I think he'd be better. If that makes sense compared to Dylan Strome and Tom Wilson or something like that. Not saying those guys aren't good players, but I think in this situation he'd be a good fit, especially when I have solid.
Oh, sorry. No, go ahead.
Yeah, especially when he has Hughes, Celebrini, and RNH who are solid to good defensive players around him. It's not as much of a liability, and I think that shot still is special.
Yeah, I'd have to disagree with Babs a little bit. I think that 50 goal, what was it, like 50 goal pace last season?
44 and 65.
Yeah, like insane pace last season. I don't know how big the drop off is going to be. I know he's 40, but he was 39 last year. What's a different year? What's another year? People counting him out, and he just proves them wrong. Not saying he'll get to the same pace as he was last year, but you can't just count him out like that.
I mean, as far as I'm concerned, the difference is last year he was playing for the goal record. This year he's playing for the playoffs, and nothing that happens until April is going to matter to him, his legacy, his team, one way or the other.
We're treating this like the playoffs, though. That's the thing. This isn't some regular season game in middle of November. This is do or die playoffs. Ben, your final pick.
All right. Well, as the Rangers fan, I think I'm gonna take Lafreniere here. People might stink me on that, but listen, he's heating up recently. Past 7 games, he's 8 points in the last 7 games, playing much better. Now he's got his line mate, his center back, Vincent Trocheck. They popped off yesterday, yes, against the bad Nashville team, but 3 points last night for my Alexi Lafreniere. That's what I'm taking.
Yeah, that's fair. It's like him, Slavkovsky, or Kane at this point. And
Stamkos,
Stamkos, who's looking even more washed up than an Ovechkin. So yeah, I can't blame you for going Lafreniere there. Babs, finish us off.
All right, so this is the part where I have to take the last defenseman. And you know what? I'm going to sell out the draft here because I feel like if I picked Aaron Ekblad, people would give me the benefit of the doubt. Oh, he just won a cup last year. He just had good playoffs last year. That would do well with the voters. But I know what Aaron Ekblad is. He's a deeply mediocre defenseman who plays on a very good team, has never really been a level above mediocre his entire career. Florida's playoff breakthrough came when he was their number 3D. I know what that is, and I'm not super thrilled with it. I don't know exactly what Owen Power is. I don't have a ton of reasons to believe his upside is massive, but to be fair, he spent his entire career on an awful team that's given him very little support. And I do think his potential ceiling in a decent team is higher than Ekblad's.
Yeah, that's fair. Yeah, I'll give Ekblad some respect. Like before he break his leg in like the 2022 season, he was an elite top pairing guy. But I do agree.
He was never elite. No, we need to push back on that. He was a top pair guy. Elite.
Very good top pair guy.
I'd say he's like a little bit worse version of Jacob Slavin at his prime.
Slavin? You're saying like opposite though, like more offensive?
He was great in terms of defensive capabilities. I think he was close to that.
He was ever that good defensively, but
I'd say a little worse version of him.
Yeah, I think he was in that like 10 to 17 range.
There's literally the one season where he got hurt where he put up a 60-game pace. Like, if you want to call him
the
top
injuries
pair,
are the problem,
that's fine. Elite is like, no, he vaguely looked elite one time. But again, really the point is like, we know what Ekblad's ceiling is. It's the playoffs last year. There's no version of reality where a team around him is better and he performs better than what we just saw. And he had a good playoff run, but like overall on the season, I was not super impressed.
Yeah, they brought in Seth Jones for a reason. And Owen Power, obviously I'm going to say he's never going to become the number 1 in Buffalo because my guy, Rasmus Dahlin, is too damn good. But yeah, I do agree right now I probably would have Power over Ekblad, but you're right. Like you did the right thing in terms of choosing who you believe instead of just, Florida Stanley Cup. Every Florida player is amazing. And I greatly appreciate that, not pandering to the fans. But here are the final teams. My team is Hughes, Celebrini, Ovechkin, Reiner, Hopkins, Dahlin. Babiak's team is McKinnon, Crosby, Bedard, Heischer, and Power. And Ben's team is McDavid, Matthews, Tavares, Lafreniere, and Schaefer. Correct?
Yes.
Yep,
Okay. I think Babiak probably is going to win it, but I think that it is going to be close. What do you guys think?
Yeah, I mean, I think I could have done better with my drafting. I don't like my bottom 2 picks. Maybe even the Matthews pick. I feel like if I took Celebrini there, recency bias probably going to go to Celebrini there.
Babs, what do you think?
I love
Young
my
confidence.
team. I mean, I think Owen Power is the least skilled of defensemen available, but all three of the defensemen we've picked have the exact same accomplishments, which is nothing really. Have not accomplished
Whoa,
any.
Rasmus Dahlin has
Darlene's
like a
put up
top
some
5
very
in
nice
Norris.
seasons. He's never come close to like a Norris level season.
He
I
had
absolutely
73
think Matthew
points one
Schaefer's a better
season.
player than Owen Power, but they have
Oh, yeah,
both
third was
proven
Dahlin.
nothing really in their careers. So it depends
Yeah,
how
it's really
much
going to
people value the upside there on defense.
It's really going to come down to, do people think Owen Power, if he wasn't in Buffalo, is a legit top pairing defenseman? If that's the case, which I'm not even sure that's the case, then you'll probably win it. But that is the clear. You definitely have the best forward core. Just I think Schaefer is closer to Dahlin than Power is to Schaefer, if that makes sense, at least right now. And I know it's a limited Schaefer sample size.
Sure, I think the gap between like Connor Bedard and Lafreniere is bigger, but it's how it
You have the
goes.
best forward core, but it's gonna be interesting to see how they judge these teams. Vote whoever you think drafted the best team, not because it's my YouTube channel, not because Ben is so gracious and donated $250, not because Babiak is a beast, but let us know in the comments who do you think won. Go over to the posts, and thank you guys so much for hopping on. Any final thoughts, Ben, Babiak?
And just thank you for having me. It was great. Thank you so much.
I think it's
Thank you
fun to
for
have
doing it,
guests
Babiak.
on. You should do it more often.
Oh,
Yeah,
definitely.
we'll be rotating some people in, bringing it in instead of me and Matt Squared bickering it every single time. But vote in the post section on my YouTube. Greatly appreciate it. We'll be seeing the next one. Peace.